Today is a special day for us. We have come pretty naked. You can see us pretty naked.
Just below. But
Just see us below completely.
I won't turn the camera down.
We are very, very touched in a way, and very, how can I say this word? I've been kind of feeling the last days very, I want to say the word excitement. I'm very excited, very, it's like a child, like it's kind of wanting to bring a present to the loved ones, and it's just waiting in a way to how will they receive it. When you have preparing a present for a long time, I don't know, we're near Christmas, and I don't know if you remember when you were making a present to somebody you really, really love, and took months and some months. Sometimes you were doing this present for a long time, cooking it and wrapping it nicely and everything. But today is kind of like a moment that it feels like we are offering a present to all of you who we really, really love deeply in our heart. And it's the only reason why we're here is because we love you all so much. And we really want to support you into your journey, your pilgrimage, individually and in community to the core of our being. And this present is for both of us that we are being really cooking in it, and more than being like a expert or scholars on anything, we are practitioners. And what we are here to give is to share with you that what has been revealed to us, and what our practices have brought to us, and in that way to inspire you to really trust where you are, and unwrap it in a way together. This phase we are in, as individually, each one of you, and as community, and as time on earth. We have brought together two immense rivers of waves of wisdom, which we both felt it was really time to kind of look at them and move into them in a very kind of slowing them down and entering towards them, and seeing that actually is one big river that has been so in a way so misunderstood, so comprehend of what they are for. And even, announcing this, the theme of Yoga and Tantra, and we were working with the Delight Yoga to bring it out. The name Tantra was already creating a lot of restlessness, and how to promote it and how to bring it out, because the word Tantra has been really, really polluted, misunderstood. And that's one of also the reasons why we wanted to really, really to bring them into the light, and into clear the unclarity and the confusion about this. And so we are really, really thrilled about to bring it to you today, starting to bring it to you today.
So Satya and I have been involved in these practices, tantric practices, for our whole career, our whole life of practice, but we haven't really shared it that much because it's open. I think it's needs a certain capacity, and also our teachers have said that too. that is easily misunderstood, and also it needs a good foundation. So Satya and I have been mostly focusing on the yoga part for years, maybe over 25 years. And now we're seeing some people like yourself starting to ripen, and ourselves too, in a confidence in sharing these kind of information. And I can see that also people are starting to be ready to hear what the message of Tantra is, and the message of yoga in its real essence. And they're not two things. It's just a little bit of a clarification about how they work together is important. So we're gonna just maybe do a little talk about that first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say the word, the Tantra, yoga, first of all, yoga is not about feeling good, and it's not about making a better person out of yourself. And it's also not about achieving anything. It's not, I'm going for all the knots because that's how they do it in India. They say it's not this. They don't ever say what it is. Yoga is not self-help, and essentially it's not a therapy. Yoga is not anything to do with correcting your faults, and it's not anything to do with healing your traumas. It's nothing to do with getting fit. It's nothing to do with becoming enlightened. I could keep going and going and going, because all those things are revolving around a person that's trying to get something. Okay?
Yeah.
And the very essence of yoga is to try to annihilate the person. Or not annihilate, but to see clearly that the person doesn't exist. So everything that had been transferred to the West about yoga was a misinterpretation, because it was seen through the lenses of the minds of the people who could hear it. On a very basic level, yoga just seemed to be a fitness craze. It's to make you fit.
I just want to say before that it's not that what has been transferred to the West has been done, in that purpose to kind of diminish what really yoga is, but what has been understood of it and take it like a product. So many things has been just taken out of the real teachings, because those who brought the teachings of yoga and tantra to the West were really incredible masters of it. So they brought it in the right way. But what we could understand, what our mind was ready to understand, was very very narrow, and just took some parts of it. Yeah. And that was the misunderstanding.
So the yoga function. So the yoga's idea about what yoga is called moksha, and this word means liberation or freedom. And it doesn't mean this freedom to do whatever you want necessarily, because that's the Western idea of freedom, right? You can do whatever you want and have whatever you want. That's the Western idea of freedom. In yoga, that's called samsara. That's called being in bondage to desire. It's a kind of affliction of the mind that we've misinterpreted as freedom. So you see where we're going with this. Mm-hmm. You see why we can't just kind of throw this out into the general pool of yoga, because in this way it would take me so long to sort of see, and everyone who's here, I hope can hear that. I see some new faces, that actually what we're working with in yoga is something very different than maybe we thought of what it was. And basically the practices of yoga and techniques of yoga are there to strip away the illusions that you have about reality, so that you can see clearly things as they are, and then you can have a freedom from illusion, which is called getting out of samsara, right? And that's a kind of interesting way, because in a way you're doing a lot of work on yourself, in a sense, to get rid of yourself. It's kind of weird, but you're doing all this kind of introspection, as you know, the 8 limbs of yoga, the Ashtanga system. We're doing a lot of work on our inward vision to find out what's true, what's not true, and doing all these tests with asanas and pranayamas and mudras and bandhas and things to create a field and a mirror for us to see clearly all aspects of our being in the light of consciousness and light of what's real and what's not real. So we can distinguish between that. Mm-hmm. So in a way, it's a kind of very scientific in that sense. And in a way, it's a sort of a male type of practice in the sense that it's kind of linear. It has a very directed approach and it's systematic. Now, on the other hand, and it literally is the other hand, the left hand is a tantra. So the tantra is something, it's a different, it's not, it's looking at everything as part of a matrix. So the word tantra means like a web or a weaving, you know, like a cloth that's woven where everything, all the threads are connected. So what it means is that everything's connected and part of the web. It's very kind of shamanic vision that there's nothing outside the web. And even anything to do with our reality is part of the divine fabric. So there's no separation whatsoever between anything at all. And so in a way, you could see that as a very inclusive feminine approach, right? That and in the traditional way, yoga was done kind of more on your own, maybe in isolation or in a type of practice environment, say like a cave or a kutir or something like this, a little hut. And it was all very, you know, you and your own mind, you know, and some of the Buddhist practices are very similar to that. Now, Tantra says, no, you go back to your normal life and cook the meals and have babies and stuff. And this is not going to be any obstacle whatsoever for your path. In fact, it is the path. So they both seem a little bit contradictory, but they're not. They're just kind of different ways of viewing. Yeah. And I started by saying what yoga was not. I have to say also what Tantra is not. It's not about better orgasms. It's not about inherently anything to do with sex at all. But sex is just in the web. So that's what you do, you know, so is cooking and so is whatever else. So it's not putting any special emphasis on sex. Just because Westerners are so repressed and now everyone in the world is repressed, then sex, okay, you know, they take the whole thing and make it about sex. So that's why it's banned on Instagram, because people have absolutely no idea. They just think it's something like a better way to have orgasms or something. So there's no real, or maybe a more, you know, at the very best, creating a deeper intimacy with your partner and this kind of level of sexuality, which is also part of Tantra. So I just wanted to say and clarify those two, that when Satya and I are now, you know, sharing, we've shared many of the tools of yoga with you guys, and some of you maybe we don't know, but we have been doing that for a long time. And now we're going to focus a little more on the tools of Tantra. And these, I think, are very interesting. And because if the modern person has the capacity, and they aren't just, you know, a ball of repression, and something has started to move in their bodies and their energies, then the tantra is the practice for this time. This isn't the time for the monastic and all these things. So when we have that capacity to learn about what the Tantra is, and some of the practices are very, very simple, and we've been sharing them in a stealth manner for a long time and not saying what they were, but you can see sometimes the practices we do together, sometimes you have an experience, right? And something maybe when you were in Amsterdam the last time we were there together in person, something can shift in your mind. Something can change in your consciousness by these meditations. So that's my little intro there. And I mean, there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, it's huge. You see, it's a huge terrain that we want to enter together, and also you will also experience that many aspects of yoga and many aspects of Tantra, they're interconnected, interwoven, because many aspects of the yoga that we have also known in the West and what we are also together practicing are also deriving from the Tantra. Yeah. So most actually we can say of the yoga we know right now in the West is very tantric.
Yeah, even asanas are coming from
Asanas are tantric, mudras are tantric, chantings are tantric. So, and in a way, we want to take the veils of what is what, and also to bring it into the open, so we can really explore them. And also, very important to know the motivation why we are exploring this, because that is underneath the force that will bring us to the real force, power, why we're doing these practices together.
Right. You all understand this Sanskrit word called sankalpa. So the word sankalpa is translated usually as intention, but it means like a strong resolution, intention, focus point, but basically, like what's your motivation, your intention, and your reason for doing something, but mostly what is your intention. So that is so important with these practices, especially with Tantra, that we understand what our sankalpa is, like why are we doing it? And that's maybe a little different for each person in subtle ways. And maybe we have time to ask you guys about that. Maybe this is a good time.
Yeah.
What do you feel is like your intention, your motivation for being here, listening to this, and also for the practices that we're going to share? Why would you want to do it? And what is the intention behind it?
And maybe take a time, as Sahaj is asking the question, to really, as a moment of connection to yourself, to your being here right now, to your body, to your breath, to your feelings, to where you're right now. And kind of the sankalpa is something that we renew moment to moment, again and again, as a reconfirm why we're here, how we're here. And feel that answer more and more coming from the very deep place of yourself, maybe connected directly to your heart space. And see if you can answer and to feel what is your motivation right now. And take the time to feel that and see if words can come from that space.